Hey. Guys, welcome to my channel. This is a story of what if Sasuke regrets his decisions and want to make atonement for his sin. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, it will surely help me, and also it will notify you on my upcoming videos, and check the description for the creator of this great fanfic. Thank you. Now let's start the story. Chapter 5. Ringing Bells. Training Ground 3. Sakura waited impatiently. Her sensei and her two teammates were late. It's been an hour already and the three were not in sight. Little did she know that Sasuke and Naruto were just talking about many things. Well, bickering about many things. Sasuke insisted that the South Pole is colder, insisted that the Hokage was not the most important person, nor that Konoha is the center of the world, insisted that Naruto is wearing a mask unconsciously, and most of all, insisted that she will not be the first female Hokage. Sure, she accused him of being a total introvert, a bastard, and an idiot. He just called her a bit of a stubborn childish vixen, which kinda turned violent between them. Then it turned into a tickle fight, which Sasuke won before he kissed her passionately. Naruto, however, surprised him by saying that it was fun. The Uchiha was then thinking, maybe they should pack a few bentos. As he told the blonde, she immediately reminded him that Kakashi told them not to eat, which he scoffed at. He reminded her that he suggested it, and that fighting on an empty stomach was worse than throwing up. Begrudgingly, she made 6 bentos in total with a bit of his help. Then she expressed her interest in Fuinjutsu. To say that Sasuke was proud of his semi-apprentice semi-girlfriend would be the understatement of the century. The Uchiha was smiling at her. Like smiling really warmly and fondly. He blamed it on his younger and older self, as his current self was interested only in revenge. And he will get his pound of flesh. Be it from Danzo, from Obito, and especially from Kurosetsu. The last two were his priority to kill persons. The broken Uchiha especially will die by his hands. The mockery of a man will soon follow somehow. Noticing the darkness in Sasuke's eyes, she asked him in her annoying manner, which he loved. Sasu-tem, what's the doom and gloom? Don't you care about poor little Naruto-chan? The girl will end up as a seductress, God forbids, at the influence of Jiraiya. If I can avenge your parents, do you mind so? Sasuke asked Naruto, who gave him a questioning look. I don't know if I can do it. So you should not soak your hands in blood for me. She replied in a meek tone. I would never kill that innocence of your. Sasuke thought before he sighed. Same people who murdered my clan. He replied calmly. You see, I have to let the dead rest in peace, it's the least I can do. He then remembered his own future. He killed his innocent brother. He hated himself for the act, despite not really killing Itachi. Sasuke, look, do you trust me? Naruto asked the Uchiha, who was trembling with sorrow, and was drowning in his own darkness. Do you trust me? He countered as she gave him a sad look. They lived together, and yet. As she nodded honestly, he nodded back. Well, I'm not going to tell you to let go of your revenge, it's your goal, but don't live just for that. Besides, I don't want to lose you. Naruto confessed shyly, and he gave her a mirthful look. You know, I know how empty I would be. So, I hope you would not feel the same. Sasuke replied calmly. On the inside, however, he was a wrecked, broken mess of a man. Like hell I would allow the same to happen to you, or me again. Naruto somehow noticed his worried mess, as she hugged him while giving him a stupid childish smile. He would kill every single one who dare and rob him from it. He smiled sadly as he returned the hug, muttering a sentence he deeply regretted not saying enough times. Naruto koi, egato, aishiteru, ibo. Oi, don't get too emotional, or I would think that something bad happened to me. Naruto joked, only to realize something else this time. Sasuke's eyes became completely devoid of any emotions or even life for a split second. Sasu-tem. A story for another time. Let's go to meet the Banshee and the Cyclops. He replied dryly enough to make her forget about his momentarily faltering. You have no idea. I went back here to correct so many past mistakes. I need a shrink or a nose, mom. You're late. Sakura screeched at her two teammates as Sasuke shook his head and tried to walk, only to stagger a bit. Oh, piss off. We were lost in the road of life. Naruto replied heatedly as Kakashi I smiled brightly. My fucking ears. Stop that ringing. Sasuke muttered as Naruto offered Sakura a bento. But Kakashi-sensei said not to eat. Sakura was about to protest when Sasuke shot her a cold glare. Sheesh, even Naruto here, and she's childish, understood the meaning. Sasuke replied angrily, Sakura better pay for their hearing damage. He smirked as the Haruno started eating, as he and Naruto ate together. Kakashi soon arrived. I knew it. Naruto and Sasuke said in unison. Oh, Kakashi will pay for this. Okay team, try to get these within 2 hours. He said as he had 2 bells. Also, who doesn't have a bell, will be sent to the academy. He noticed the evil smile on Sasuke's face. Ready, set, start. And soon enough, Sasuke grabbed Naruto and darted away. Oh, he knows the Shunshin. Naruto was about to protest when Sasuke kissed her to shut her up. Before she could add something, he gave her a meaningful look. He's a Jonin. Use your Kage Bunshin, no more than 3 clones. Then wait, if you know how he fights, then you're at an advantage. Sasuke told her in a wise serious tone that reminded her of Iruka-sensei somehow. Arg, fine, she said as she made about 10 clones. She gave him a sheepish look. He shrugged as she sent 3. Then, a few minutes later, she blinked and sent 5. Kakashi was too good at taijutsu it appears. Despite her flexibility and new taijutsu style, which felt natural, she failed miserably. Sasuke then activated his Sharingan, charcoal orbs bleeding to crimson. He saw how Kakashi put Sakura in a genjutsu and sighed. Now it was the time to test his full abilities. Naruto, I want you to make a lot of Kage Bunshin, distract him long enough so I can snatch his bells. My jutsu takes time, Sasuke told his girlfriend who nodded. As much as she hated to say it, she realized that Sasuke is much stronger than her now. This was not a kid, nor a preteen, this was a man in a kid's body. Sasuke never knew how close she got to the truth. As soon as Kakashi had to fight a horde of Kage Bunshins, Sasuke used his Rinnegan to judge exactly how close Kakashi was. As soon as he was within 200 meters, Sasuke used one jutsu, Amenetejikara. That Jikuken ninjutsu was his best ally. Kakashi didn't even feel the bells disappearing from his side. The only thing he saw was Sasuke and a smirking Naruto arriving in front of him as Naruto's clones dispelled soon enough. Oh, so you two will fight me as a team? Kakashi asked the pair as Sasuke withdrew his hand from Naruto's, revealing a bell each. The shock on Kakashi's lone eye made the both of them laugh their asses off and their lungs out. How? He asked and Sasuke's triumphant smirk made him almost fall on his face when the Uchiha's word came from his mouth, as his Sharingan was active and fully mature. Lesson 3. Ninjutsu. Sasuke smirked at Kakashi's shocked expression. My specialty and her forte if she gets a really good sensei who'd ram stuff into her thick skull. Ouch. He said as she pulled his ear, hard. Who's having a thick skull, duckbutt? She asked and he winced as she released his tortured ear. Bad Naru. He muttered evilly. Her punch to his shoulder made him shake his head at her. If you did that with your teeth. He closed his mouth as she rear-choked him. Arrow tem. She said before she released him. He took some dramatic gulps of air. Sakura ended up tied up to the training post as Kakashi left, ordering his team not to feed her. Sasuke looked at the blonde as he raised an eyebrow. The blonde gave him an affectionate look before she went to feed Sakura. Don't want your pity. Sakura said sadly. It is not pity. So, why are you wasting your own potential? Sasuke asked the pinkett who gave him a sad look. Well, I thought that you liked girls with slender figure and long hair. She asked and Naruto trembled. Was that jealousy? I only love one girl, who's trying to feed you. Sasuke replied a bit coldly. Why Naruto baka? She's an orphan, a dumb blonde, and most of all, annoying, and is a total tomboy. Naruto dropped the bento in shock. Was that what Sakura thought about her? Judging by the silent rage of the Uchiha, he already knew. That reminded her to torture the Tem soon enough. Naruto just looked away and went to cry her eyes out. Sasuke gave Sakura a disappointed sad look before he went to comfort his girlfriend, as Kakashi cut Sakura's ropes out, sighing in disappointment and sorrow. Sakura, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid that you fail. Now, I think that your talent will be wasted if you go to the reserves, so. I have a suggestion for you. Go to Team 8. They'll probably accept your talent. Now, see you around. Kakashi went after his 2 students, thinking about if Team 7's curse was finally broken. He found Naruto by the river, Sasuke stroking her back gently. From the sight, the Uchiha would immediately be classified as a soft-hearted Bishonen. However, Kakashi knew better. These two have displayed an amazing teamwork. Like extremely coordinated attacks. Coordinated enough to be able to take the bells from him. Thinking quickly, he made his mind as he sent a clone to the Hokage. He stayed in the shadows until the blonde calmed down a bit. Sasuke gave him a Mangekyo Sharingan glare, something THST completely shook Kakashi. Judging by the look, the starburst-shaped eye was about to end his existence when he smirked at him. Will you stop acting like a creep and start acting like a sensei, Kakashi? Sasuke told his soon-to-be Jonin sensei his honest truth. Well, I saw everything. And honestly, I'd be a complete fool if I would not pass the both of you. You displayed a rare ability to work together, and you decided to break the rules for your own comrades. That's why you pass. Kakashi eye smiled as Naruto wiped her tears. He gave the girl a sad apologetic look. What about Sakura? She asked and Kakashi scowled behind his mask. Seriously, what's wrong with this girl? Then it hit him. Years of isolation, hatred, cold glares and mistreatment made her a very kind person, to a fault. She just spat at you and your kindness and yet you forgave her just like that. Sasuke asked in disbelief. Even with his company, Naruto was forgiving to a fault. Just like the angel of a lover who he loves. No. He will never lose this drop-dead gorgeous cute girl who's going to be a drop-dead gorgeous woman. He then remembered how similar she was to her mother. Apparently, Naruto inherited her father's hair, sun-kissed skin and eyes. Apart from that, she was a dead ringer to a young Kushina, in personality and in appearance. Sasuke sighed dejectedly as she was at his side. Sasuke. Naruto turned to her boyfriend who sighed sadly as he gave her a determined look. Naruko-chan, I think that I will have to return home, dig up a past I swore would remain buried. Sasuke told his girlfriend sadly. Don't then. She replied as he gave her a grateful look. Well, maybe sometime later then. Anyways, let's just rest for today. Like, I dunno. Sasuke replied gratefully. While he wasn't lazy by any means, she deserved to rest for once. Maybe hanging around. I don't know. I mean, I have only one friend, and now, you, Kakashi-sensei, Uruka-sensei, Hokage-jichin. She replied with a bit of uncertainty. Well then, let's take a walk or something. Sasuke replied as she nodded and followed him until he carried her on his back, much to his delight and her irritation. They stumbled upon Team 10 of all people. Ino however ruined whatever good mood he had. Naruto baka. Let go of Sasuke-kun. Ino shrieked at the blonde as the Uchiha was about to murder the Yamanaka only to stop at the last second. He saw Asuma, Shikamaru and Choji before he realized something. I want to Ino Buddha. Let go. Naruto replied as she tried to get off, only for Sasuke to tighten his hold on her thighs. Nope. You're too tired to walk. Besides, I'm your teammate so, I must take care of you. Sasuke smirked smugly as Ino threw a fit. As she went to punch the other blonde, the Uchiha blocked it with his knee before he kicked the Yamanaka away. Assume, you're sure you don't want to dump her to your girlfriend and take Kiba? Sasuke smirked at the Jonin who took a drag from his cigarette. I have no girlfriend. He replied only for Sasuke to cackle madly. Oi, something funny. Shikamaru asked only for Sasuke to look somewhere. Kurenai is coming. Let's scurry. He replied and Naruto was confused. However, as soon as Asuma looked where Sasuke looked, along his entire team, the Uchiha was gone with his Uzumaki blonde. He got us all. Ino shrieked as Shikamaru laughed mirthfully. The old Sasuke would never be a prankster, but this Sasuke seems like the kind of guy's THST he would enjoy hanging out with. Somewhere else, Sasuke was calmly walking, glaring bloody hell to anyone who glared at his blonde prankster of a teammate. Oi did you just prank Asuma-sensei? Naruto asked mirthfully. Hey, of course. Poor schmuck. Too lazy to teach his team. I saw his posture, it's too lax to be honest. Doesn't mean that he's not the kind of guys I wouldn't enjoy saving in the future. Sasuke replied calmly as Naruto sighed. Here goes again. Sasuke was just an enigma to say the least. Nay, Sasuke, do you want to talk about it? Your sorrow. Naruto asked and he sighed as he put her down. The Uchiha gave her a very serious pensive look before he shook his head in denial. How can he tell her that she died? How can he break her dreams and heart? He hated to admit it, but even that cute childish stubborn attitude of her was unique to her. Putting a hand on his shoulder and smiling stupidly, she gave him a nod of understanding. You can trust me with everything, and I mean, everything, you got something unique. Naruto then raised her hands up in the air, me. She squealed and soon enough, Sasuke grabbed her by her thighs and threw the cute girl over his shoulders. Oi, Tem, what are you doing? Hey, making sure that your uniqueness remain like that, he said as he shunshined to the Hokage's tower. He saw that the Jonins were assembled. He sighed as he gave her a meaningful look. Wanna have some ramen? And the girl smiled brightly at the mention of her favorite food and her nod made Sasuke dance mentally. Oh, her wind did fuel his flames. Hokage's office. Kakashi, what you want to tell me? Hiruzen asked the cycloptic Jonin who sighed dejectedly. The Hokage understood that Kakashi was just so tired of his usual failures. Haruno Sakura messed up royally, Hokage-sama. I wanted her to pass, but she verbally assaulted Naruto, who offered her own food out of compassion, a compassion that was wasted. Uchiha Sasuke did a jutsu I never knew and managed to snatch both bells, and he also gave one to Naruto. That kid is good. Like way too good to be a chunin. Kakashi reported as Hiruzen nodded in understanding. I agree. So, need my help with their training? I mean, ask me anything. The Sarutobi head asked the Hitaki who nodded. Sakura's talent shouldn't be wasted. The more I think, the more I feel that she would fit in Kurenai's team. Or Asuma's. Kakashi replied as Hiruzen nodded in understanding. I think that there's something you must do, like I dunno, maybe test their affinity or something. Sasuke-kun's is lightning, and Naruto-chan's wind. Also, there's something else. I think that you know what to do. Make them your standards, not anyone else's. Hiruzen told the Hitaki who nodded. Ramming jutsus into Naruto's head would be a disaster, but she and Sasuke seems different. They had each other it seems, and Sasuke seems kind of overprotective to the blonde. Kakashi didn't want to take any risks towards the Uchiha's hatred, who knows his abilities. Oh, if he only knew, if he only knew. Sasuke's apartment. The Uchiha decided to take a break for now, his training could wait, but he knew his future wife enough to see the cracks in her mask. Composing himself, he did what he always did. Comforting her. She gave him a pair of sad, uncertain-looking, and confused blue orbs. Blue orbs he missed so much, blue orbs he lost forever in a future he vowed to change, blue orbs that he would die looking at them a happy man. Look, about what Sakura said. I'm sorry. Sasuke apologized as Naruto gave him a humorless, empty mirthless chuckle. Am I a phase? A passing whim? Is this a prank? She asked him as he sighed. It must be. Why her, the orphaned outcasted girl? Why was he treating her this kindly? No. Look, you may not believe me, but I swear that this is not a whim. In fact, I don't know what to say. I mean, I know that I love you more than anything. But then again, damn. Sasuke was assaulted by memories from a past future, their fight, her chasing him, their first date, their mind-blowing love-making, their memories as they relive their childhood, a childhood they missed. Her being pregnant, him learning of the bittersweet news, her death, his grief and despair. I should have died, she didn't deserve to die at a mere 20. Sasuke remembered how he dealt with the grief, how he and Kakashi drunk like there's no tomorrow, how they both woke up in the hospital from alcohol poisoning, how they wept like children, how he vowed to prevent this. His thought was cut by Naruto's hand on his shoulder. You don't need to. Also, Sasuke, tell me the truth, what brings you this guilt? Naruto asked and he gave her a sad look. Your death. He thought before he asked her one simple question, can you feel my emotions? She shook her head no, and her eyes told him that she didn't lie. Answer me Tem. She added as he smirked. She gave him a questioning look as his smirk became impish in nature. When you don't lack a brain in your skull, and no discussion, I will tell you. When I can do that thing, that goal to kill someone who caused us a lot of grief, and someone who burned the world down, and a plague unleashed on this world, I will maybe tell you, but not now. Sasuke's answer made her completely confused. Oi, don't go all crazy on me Tem. Who else I do have but you and Hinata? She asked and he felt a searing hatred towards Jiraiya. Oh, the toad sage will get his ass. Nest, kicked in and hard. Let's go to the man who knows everything. The right answers are. Hold on. He said and soon enough, a knock was heard. As Sasuke opened the door, he saw an Anbu captain on his door. Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. Hokage-sama requested for your presence. Don't be late. The Anbu felt very familiar, but Sasuke couldn't remember. Hey, speak of the old monkey. I guess that this is our cue. Come, Naruto Heim. Sasuke was shot a dirty look by the blonde. He sighed as she was still to thaw at him. Oh, he would never feel better when she's underneath him, squirming with laughter and begging him to be her husband. Fuck. That was before she died. Wiping the tears away, he carried her bridal style before he shunshined away. Hokage's office, put me down Tem. And stop calling me princess you girly looking man. Naruto insulted half-heartedly. Sasuke smirked at her before he put her down. Or rather, stopped before he carried her closer. Nope. Weightlifting is beneficial. At this the Hokage gave a few muted chuckles as she grabbed his hair a bit painfully. I said, put me down. She ordered this time and he sighed as he did just that. Hokage Jichin, why you asked for me and the Tem? Chuckling inwardly at the whole, Tem, and, girly looking, as it was Kushina's exact words to Minato, he couldn't help but notice that Sasuke is as persistent as it can be, while Naruto was deeply in denial despite the fact that her eyes betrayed her sometimes. Well, at least in public. I called for you two as I felt that, well, I need to know something. In return, you two can ask me anything. Now, Sasuke-kun, what's your affinity? Hiruzen's question was met with a smirk. Was lightning and fire. Now it's definitely all five. His calm tone made the shinobi no Kami's eyes wider by a few millimeters, but Sasuke noticed. The Uchiha grabbed a chakra paper testing scroll, and the results were, incredibly, that he possessed all changes in chakra natures and even yin release. He gave one to Naruto and gave her a meaningful look. Channel your chakra gently. And as she did, wind, yang, then earth and water were lit in order, with the last two at the very same time. Sasuke smirked at the sight of water and earth lighting along with yang. Hiruzen was shocked by this before he pulled a small wooden plank. Naruto-chan, please channel your chakra through this. And the plank grew into a branch, which sprouted leaves. That was Mokuten. The real deal. Hiruzen muttered as Sasuke smirked and flashed him his Rinnegan before he asked for a small favor. In exchange for me knowing that there's a secret about my older brother, please keep this under as much wraps as possible. Sasuke asked the old man who nodded dumbly. That was a very shocking turn of event. Tenzo could barely make the plank grow a bit. It was just like Hashirama and Madara reincarnated or something. He glanced at Sasuke's onyx eyes and remembered Madara, not the psychopath, not even the shinobi, but the man who was ready to do anything to protect Konoha and the Uchiha clan. A very few people know that, but Madara would have never harmed his last pride and joy, his home village. Okay, that's achievable, if Naruto-chan and you accept to be my students sometimes. He proposed and they both nodded. The Sannin will have some competition. Ji-chan, please tell me that the Hokage is the tip of the pyramid in this country. Naruto asked and Hiruzen sighed dejectedly. How can he break her dream? No. She deserved to know. Actually, the daimyos are the actual rulers. Also, the one who are acknowledged by everyone become the Hokage. Finally, you see this sea of paper. This is my paperwork which is doubling. No matter what I do, it's very time-consuming. Naruto felt like she wanted to die as Sasuke sighed sadly. Her dream of becoming Hokage was worth it. And the whole manners, public image, politics, etiquette, knowledge. It's up to you. Sasuke added as Hiruzen nodded. Naruto felt at a complete loss now. What should she do? I will become the Hokage one day, but I will be it on my own terms. Naruto announced as Sasuke smirked behind his hands. Good girl. And you will. Sasuke replied calmly as she gave him a shocked, wide-eyed, and partially open-mouth expression. What? You thought I will not support you on your dream. You're dead wrong about that. You're the first. Naruto whispered as Sasuke raised an eyebrow, which she took as a sign that he didn't understand. You're the first to believe in me. All of our classmates told me that I would never become the Hokage. Well, Hinata didn't say anything about it. Naruto confessed as Sasuke had to retain himself from hunting down these assholes who were destroying his girlfriend. Hey, they're all brats, what can you expect? Sasuke replied calmly, I know exactly your pain, to an extent. I suffered from the lost bonds, you suffered for not having any, so, I thought, maybe we can always be there for each other. Sasuke asked his teammate a bit shyly. Well, he showed a tiny bit of shyness as he looked away at the last question. I think that you did more than enough. Naruto replied shyly as Sasuke smirked before he then turned to the Hokage, bowed and shunshined away with his girlfriend. And then the Jonin senseis entered, with Kakashi who had a mirthful look on his eye. They all gave him a questioning look as he shrugged. It was his was to say that he'll talk about it later. As the Jonins reported their team's failures, Sarutobi Hiruzen dismissed them. Team 8 pass. Hinata's Byakugan was what broke them from the Genjutsu, and she did break out Kiba as Shino broke Akamaru. Kiba was angry with himself as he said that he feels like a punk, but next time he would not be trapped so easily. Also, he thanked Shino on behalf of Akamaru, and Hinata, before I ordered them to track me down, and that the one who would not find me, would be sent to the academy. They all protested and said one thing, either they all pass, either they fail together. I passed them for that. Kurenai reported as the old man nodded in acknowledge. He then turned to Asuma. Team 10 passed, hardly. Shikamaru figured out the hidden test and managed to do the task alongside Ino and Choji. Asuma reported lazily as Kakashi shook his head. He needed Sakura to thrive. Team 7. Half passed, half failed. You see, Sasuke proved me wrong when he pulled Naruto and told her his strategy, before he somehow snatched the bells and gave one to Naruto. Then Sakura failed as she verbally assaulted Naruto, despite the fact that the Uzumaki is the one who's going to feed her out of jealousy of being Sasuke's. Well, their story. I have a request for later. Kakashi reported calmly. Kurenai's eyes widened, she spat at someone's kindness because of a crush. Nonetheless, she have a huge potential as a medical ninja and as a genjutsu specialist. She's just a bit confused. I don't even know what to do. Although, failing Naruto is too cruel, and failing Sasuke is too unfair. I'm neither. So, if Hokage-sama wishes, I want to take them both as my apprentices, and then, well, maybe put Sakura on a squad with a decent leader. I know that there's no empty spots though. Kakashi's implication made them all realize the true meaning of his words. He wanted Kurenai to beat the fangirlism out of Sakura and Ino. Also, how about something else? Like a joint training ground on every Monday. Thank you 3 for the report. Now, what to do with Sakura-chan? Hiruzen asked his son and the red-eyed beauty. Kurenai gave Asuma a meaningful look, he shook his head. Sighing, she decided what to do. I think that I'll be the first sensei with a 4-man cell, and Kakashi with 2-man cell. Kurenai announced her acceptance of the hopefully talented genin. Kakashi smiled as he then went to the window, only for Hiruzen to clear his throat. Kakashi, stay here. Kurenai, Asuma, thank you. Especially you Kurenai. Now, I have something for you, Kakashi. Here, take this home, read it and incinerate it immediately afterwards. Hiruzen surprised the Hitaki, who did as told nonetheless. Then, he left as he went home and read something that shook him to his core. Past future Uchiha Sasuke's body fell, in a dry heap. Kakashi arrived a bit too late just like Orochimaru and Taka. He felt true despair as he and Sasuke's true friends found the dead body of the Uchiha, and the fox who disappeared, never to return again. Kakashi found 4 letters on Sasuke's body. One for him, one for Jugo, one for Suigetsu, and one for Karen. He left no more letters, nothing whatsoever. That night, Kakashi realized 2 things about Sasuke. First, he considered him a father, a mentor and a true friend. Second, he absolutely loved Naruto genuinely, like it was indescribable how much. Kakashi realized that Uchiha Sasuke died the very day Uzumaki Naruto died. He realized that Sasuke's deep feeling was that of a suicidal broken man. Kakashi realized too late that had Naruto dated him, or tried to approach him, this would not happen. Kakashi realized that Sasuke never had a home on Konoha, only him and Naruto. It was always him and Naruto. Suigetsu wept. The Hozoki cried only twice before. First was when he heard about his childhood friend's death, the second was the night Mangetsu smuggled him away in a semi-sealed container, which opened from the inside as he and his entire family died, massacred by the rebels. Now he cried in sorrow for the death of someone he considered a true friend and brother. When he heard that Sasuke was dating, he was shocked, but he accepted it. But now he realized that she mattered to him more than anything. Jugo just drunk himself to the mother of all hangovers. Not only that his little brother figure died, but also he was hurting how history repeats itself. Everyone he loved ended up dead. First his friends and family, then Kimimaro, and now Sasuke. Was he really cursed? He didn't want to know as darkness consumed him and he slept, crying in his sleep for the brother he failed to protect. Karen cried herself to sleep many times over. Sasuke and her cousin in less than a month. How it ended up like this was beyond her. Now it didn't matter, she lost them both, her two most precious people. That kind sweet woman and that man who was mostly like a brother. Her family were now dead. Her last ties to the Uzumaki clan was lost forever. Sasuke told them that he sees them as his only family. He told them not to be sad and not to rejoin him in the afterlife too soon. He told them that he will go to his wife and child. Afterlife Uchiha Sasuke opened his eyes, only to see a beautiful woman, an angel of a woman was giving him a look that he died for. He was never this happy as he saw that her mother and father, and his own parents were there. Sasuke did the only thing he could, he ran like a speeding bullet and hugged her, finally, they're happy and together. He kissed, hugged and snuggled at her. He then hugged his mother, father, and brother before they all smiled at him. Then she told him that she watched him, and that, she knew about it. About him going back in time. She thanked him. After 13 agonizing years, 3 of which were pure bliss, after living half of his life in hell, he was happy, he was blissful and he was finally at ease. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.